Hi, I'm Taylor Schabusiness, and I'm a very hardworking, dedicated individual that's broke and really needs money to help get that swole on.
Hello, strangers. Welcome back to another episode of Strange Bar and Grill. Today, I'll be telling you about one of the most insane true crime stories I've ever heard. It involves some pretty sick stuff, from dismemberment and playing with bodies. It's a recent case, so I'll be putting in a lot of video footage from police cameras and actual court footage. And again, this story is about the sick and twisted Taylor Schabusiness, which is a stupid, horrible name, and I'll actually get into the origins of that name as well. But first things first, if you like strange true crime and mysterious storytelling, then this is the place to be. Here with me, JP, so kick back, grab a drink and a snack, and make sure to tip that like button. Join the SBG family by subscribing and hitting that notification bell to make sure you're getting notified when I release a weekly video. All right, let's go. So today's video takes us to Green Bay, home of the Packers. Probably one of the craziest stories I've covered in a while. And I've covered some wild ass stories. On the west side of Green Bay lies a nice neighborhood, and one of the streets in that nice little neighborhood is Stony Brook Lane, a nice quiet neighborhood with modest homes for hardworking people of Wisconsin. It was from one of those nice quiet homes that a 911 call was made at approximately 3:25 a.m. on February 23rd, 2022. This is that call.
How may I help you? Yes, I'd like an officer at 829 Stony Brook. Girlfriend just woke me up and swears that she found her severed head of her son in the basement.
Did you go down there?
No, fuck it. I went down, I can't tell what the fuck it is. Pardon my language, I'm kind of a little freaked out.
Whose head is it?
She's claiming it's her son.
How old is your son?
24, 20, 25?
Has he been missing, or?
No, he was here yesterday with some chick, and then all of a sudden nobody's here.
Where's the rest of the body at?
No idea. He was here a couple hours, then he left with Taylor. And they had some Taylor,
Who's that?
girl, Taylor Coronado.
You know how to spell her last name?
Living in this house was Tara. And earlier on in the night, she heard a door slam, boom, and a car drive off. And now her son and her son's friend had been staying over for like the last day or 2 days. And so she was just a little bit curious of kind of what her son may have been up to. So she's like, oh, well, my son's friend left, so let me go ahead and head downstairs and just see if everything's all right and see what's kind of going on. It was in the middle of the night, so she was just a little bit curious because heard the door slam middle of the night, and it was like, okay, maybe they're fighting, what's going on? So she thought, I'm gonna go investigate. So she went down to use the bathroom, and she saw the light on in the basement. So she went down the steps, and as she went down the steps, she opened the door into the basement. And on the right, that's probably your left, but on the right, on the other side of the door, was a black bucket on the ground, and on top of the bucket was a towel, and it just seemed weird and out of place. So she lifted the towel to kind of see what was in there, and what she saw just shocked her and chilled her to her core. It was crazy. Inside was a head, a severed human head, her son's head. She then ran back up the stairs, and she began talking to her partner, Steve.
I opened the towel, I picked up the towel and dropped it because I don't know what the fuck it is, man. I had bad vision, and she's like, is that what I think? I'm like, I don't fucking know what the fuck it is.
Do you want to stay with those two? I'll just go see it.
Where's it at? So right there. Look right, there's a bucket with a towel on it.
Now, Tara believed it was her son, Shad Thyrion. Shad was 24 years of age, the son of Tara and Michael Thyrion. He was a native of Wisconsin, growing up with 2 sisters, 1 brother. He was from the Green Bay area. He reportedly left school without graduating and apparently attended some school actually with Taylor Schabusiness. Just stupid ass name. Shad enjoyed camping, he loved games, he was a talented artist, and he was especially good at wood carving actually. Police showed up to their home about 9 to 10 minutes after the 911 call had been made on that cold, snowy morning. Following Tara's directions, they found the bucket at the bottom of the stairs, towel on top, inside a severed head.
Dude, it is. Let's just... Okay.
The two responding officers were so shocked by this entire situation that they had to double check to make sure that the head was real. Like, the officer just could not believe his eyes. He just did not believe it.
Any more units here? Hold on, just... That's real, right? That's real. If we could get more units here sooner rather than later, that'd be appreciated. We got quite a bit of blood down here. I want to clear this rest of this house.
There was a lot of blood in the basement, on the mattress, on the floors, and later when checking the bucket fully, it was filled with blood as well. And there was a severed penis also inside, as well as 2 knives. Later, bags would also be found in the basement containing body parts, the upper torso, internal organs, and more knives would be found. And of course, police wanted to know who was the last person to be with Shad to see him alive. And that was a person Shad's mother, Tara, called Taylor Coronado, better known as Taylor Schabusiness. Ugh, I hate that stupid ass name. Upon hearing that, they made their way to where she lived, also in Green Bay. It was about an hour and a half after the first finding of the severed head, and before they even spoke to her, or saw her, or knocked on her door, they could follow the trail of blood from her vehicle.
Hey, is this blood? Does this look like blood to you? Or am I just tripping? Bloody footprint? You see this right here?
Could possibly be blood.
Hey, who did that? Hi, Taylor, how's it going? Officer Russell with the Green Bay Police Department. Just make sure you ain't got nothing on you here.
Taylor emerged from the apartment building and seemed pretty surprised to see the police standing outside, right beside her vehicle. She had blood on the front of her sweatshirt, her sweatpants, and her hands. So this nasty fucking bitch didn't even change or clean. Ugh. Yeah. Taylor Schabusiness was born Taylor Coronado on the 23rd of November 1997. Her and Shad were high school classmates together at Bayport High School. Now, Taylor's upbringing wasn't the greatest. It wasn't easy. Taylor's mother, Marla, she passed away when Taylor was about 12 years old. She passed away of cirrhosis and alcoholism. After then, Taylor went to live with her grandparents, who lived in Catella down in Texas. Since she was a child, she's been receiving mental health treatment, something which when she moves back to Wisconsin, the drugs, more specifically the meth, didn't really help much. Surprisingly, in her own spare time, she would make dream catchers, some shitty art, and take weird selfies with pictures of like serial killers. Here's a picture of local Wisconsin celebrity killer Jeffrey Dahmer. Now Taylor, she's actually in fact married to a man named Warren Chabot. That sound familiar? Who was at the time and is currently in prison. Taylor and Warren married in February 2020, and it appears that Warren Chabot is the reason Taylor changed her name from Coronado to Schabusiness, because she likes the Sha part and she means business, I guess. It's so stupid. It's such a stupid name. I can't stand the name. But she's stupid, so it fits, right? Warren Chabot also changed his name from Chabot to Schabusiness. He is currently incarcerated on drug charges. Warren has a criminal history of domestic abuse, drug dealing, resisting an officer. Taylor actually has one too, resisting an officer, possession of drugs, and all that stuff. So while Warren is locked up, Taylor and Shad started hooking up. Like I mentioned earlier, Taylor and Shad were longtime friends. They'd known each other from high school. They were dating before previously. They broke up, and they just recently kind of got back together before this crime happened. When confronted by the police that night, February 23rd, after they found Shad's head in a bucket, Taylor, her reaction was like, "Oh, you got me," just like real nonchalant and just indifferent to the whole thing.
Well, they found part of Shad at his house, his mom's house. It's on his head. Where's the rest of his body?
It's there. It's at his house.
It is in the house?
It's at his house.
Okay. Can you tell me what happened?
It's a good question because I blacked out during that time.
And where'd you do the body?
The body's there. Yeah. It's
So were you going to take the head somewhere?
I like that.
You liked it? So you dismembered the body too?
Yeah.
Well, what did you do with the body parts?
Oh, they're in the house. I know, I forgot the head. I wanted the head.
Did you bring anything with you?
Yeah, it's in the van.
What?
It's in the van.
Did you want Shad to be dead?
No, it was out of random. Like, I wasn't expecting that, and it kind of threw me off guard. And it was in an open place and all that. You went in the basement, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty open.
Well, I haven't been down there, but is it?
It is.
Okay.
So, like, it was weird. It was really weird.
She didn't really try to deny or hide anything at all. It's because she was on drugs or is just an insane person, but I think both can be true. They're not mutually exclusive because there's plenty of times when she is not on the drugs and she's an absolute freaking maniac, just a nutcase. Ultimately, more of Shad would be found in Taylor's minivan, including a leg. So this is what happened that night, and just wanted to give you a warning. It's very gruesome. On the night of February 21st, Taylor went and she picked up Shad from his mother's house where he lived. And together, they went back to Taylor's house and started doing drugs. They started smoking weed, probably some shitty weed. They also did meth, good meth. I don't know how that works. Green Bay, shitty weed, good meth. I don't know. I'm just talking shit here, guys. So don't be offended, Green Bay. I don't know, but Taylor refers to meth as the bitch.
Like, we were smoking the bitch, right?
Then they also shot up some antidepressants, which I didn't even know that was a thing. Apparently I'm old in the square. Then they went back to Shad's basement sometime on February the 22nd. Tara let them in. They went downstairs. A couple minutes after going downstairs in the basement, Shad pulls out 2 metal chains. Police describe them as being like dog collars. They were into that erotic choking stuff, that erotic asphyxiation, I guess is what you call it. Now, I've met girls that were into that stuff, but that's not really my thing. I'm not trying to catch a case and end up on some YouTuber's channel. Anyway, Shad and Taylor were now taking it to the next level, and they were using metal chains to choke each other. So they both were higher than giraffe chins, and then Chad was laying down on the bed, face down, with Taylor on top of him, choking him from the back, basically.
Here comes the chain, right? And then we put it around his neck. Well, we were like playing around and shit, and then I don't know.
This was kind of like their foreplay. She was really getting into it. She was choking the shit out of him. But despite seeing Chad struggling, she kept going. His face becoming purple. He started coughing up blood. She went even harder and harder, just ratcheting it in there, just choking him. She said she blacked out and doesn't kind of really remember exactly what happened, but the next thing you know, she would come back to a conscious state. He would still be alive, resisting her and just kind of scratching at the chain, trying to get her to leave him alone. But she would just keep going harder and harder. It's almost like him struggling, like filled that desire that she had. But she kept going harder and harder, and in her own words, that's because she liked it. She then choked him to death. Then after he was dead, she played with his body.
So then after you realized he was no longer, he was dead, his face was purple, he said his blood was going out of his mouth. What'd you do?
Clean them up a little bit. And then, I just played with them.
You said play with them, what do you mean?
Played with them big.
Okay.
Like, I put them up over the bed, and then, stuff.
What'd you do with it?
And I just cuddled them and hugged them.
What'd you do with it?
I put it in his mouth.
At one point, his back was on the bed, his head hanging off the side of the bed. She grabbed a bucket and put it under his head and started sawing his head off.
How did you dismember his body then?
Knives.
With what?
Knives.
She would go upstairs to where Shad's mom and her boyfriend were into the kitchen to just grab knives and head back down.
But when did you start, cutting up his body?
Like almost right away. I was sucking and cutting it.
Some of the knives that they found were bread knives, and they were ground down to where they were flat and smooth. That's how much she was cutting. I mean, obviously bread knives are made for bread, not for dismembering body parts. And she ultimately dismembered his entire body in that basement, putting his torso into a tote bag, along with his heart and lungs, other sections of him, and 2 other bags inside the room, along with his leg was found in a crock pot inside of her minivan. And she was there essentially with the body pretty much the entirety of February 22nd, doing all kinds of disgusting shit and just chopping him up and then having like sex with his body and putting stuff inside of his body cavities and disgusting stuff. Early morning, February 23rd, she left. The discovery was made. 911 was called, and as Taylor was being interviewed by the police, she didn't seem to care that much and seemed pretty indifferent to the whole thing. Taylor Schabusiness was charged with first-degree intentional homicide, mutilating a corpse, and sexual assault. In response, Taylor pled not guilty. This trial was interesting because the main part of the discussion would be about Taylor's mental health. She would undergo a number of mental health examinations to see if she was in fact fit for trial. About a month after she was charged, a court-appointed expert said she was capable. However, the defense would of course always dispute it, say no, she's suffering from mental health issues, she's not capable of assisting in her own defense, she should not be found guilty by reason of insanity. But of course, that's the defense's job, is to get their clients off, so that's not too shocking that they would go that route. And she seems pretty fucking insane, but not that insane, I guess. They would also bring up and say, Taylor has been suffering from mental health difficulties since she was in the 7th grade, since she was a child. They're saying this has been there her whole life, and it's made worse by all the drugs and the use of meth or the bitch. But ultimately, the judge would rule, she was mentally competent in assisting in her own defense. Though her defense would say she was higher than a bird ass, that due to her meth, she was hallucinating. Taylor was such a mess that in February 2023, she actually attacked her attorney while in court.
An accused killer attacked her own attorney in court. Taylor Schabusiness is accused of killing and mutilating her boyfriend a year ago in Wisconsin.
You went off on your attorney, Taylor. You went crazy on your attorney. You can't do that.
But was this a ploy to seem insane? Probably was. I mean, some defense experts would say when you're talking to Taylor, she's fine, she's coherent, she's good. Other times they say they would go in and speak to her and she's just screaming nonstop.
When she presents herself, do you have comments about that?
Yes, my comments about that are that it's very unusual, what we call presentation. How is she looking? How does she talk? How does she interact? She's been described as smirky. Smirky. She has inappropriate, grinning, weird grinning when she's talking about the crimes. looking people have interpreted it to be like laughing at what she did. Other times looking, real, I mean, I can mimic it, very scowly. A lot of people interpret it superficially to be grinning. Yeah, grinning it all, but getting a kick out of everything. Not me. Based on my experience and training, that's a psychotic person right there.
But the judge wasn't having any of that bullshit, and finally, towards the end of July 2023, her trial began. Taylor was pleading not guilty, and not guilty by reason of mental disease or defect.
The defendant strangled her friend Shad Thyrion to death using a dog collar. Then after he was dead, engaged in sexual acts with him, with his body, subsequently dismembered him using kitchen knives found in the home. But ultimately, the case comes down to choices and responsibility. The defendant made a series of choices, February 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Choices to use methamphetamine, choices to kill her friend Shad, choices to then utterly degrade him after the fact. The choices the defendant made.
Please keep an open mind. Listen to all the facts, listen to what every witness has to say carefully, and weigh what they have to say. And remember, there's always two sides to every story.
Taylor's behavior during the trial was like she was having some kind of great time, like she was at a movie and it was all like entertainment for her. It just looks like she found the whole thing hilarious when the prosecution argued to show, the crime scene images, and they wanted to show an image of Shad's decapitated head. She found that like hilarious.
That argument, the doctor could just simply describe everything, but the question is this going to be helpful to the jury?
Or when a friend of Shad was testifying and makes like an accidental slip up with the use of his words, she thought that was hilarious.
Specifically, when I got there, we were just chilling, chopping it up, like how we always do. And basically, I was like, Taylor was asking like, do you wanna hang out with Shad? She was asking me like for consent to hang out.
She's a sick bitch. Like, we can't deny that. She's also had this really weird habit of looking into the camera and like smirking like to the cameraman. It took the jury less than an hour to decide if she was guilty or not. I assume they ordered some lunch or something just to kill most of that hour before reaching a verdict, because I feel like that was a slam dunk case. This bitch is guilty. You can literally see the smile fall off her face as she's read that verdict.
The first verdict reads as follows. We, the jury, find the defendant, Taylor Denise Schabusiness, guilty of first-degree intentional homicide as charged in count 1 of the information, dated this date, July 26th, 2023, signed by the foreperson.
However, this was only the first part of the trial. Then would begin parts 2, when the jury had to decide, was she, mentally irresponsible? Was she mentally capable? We know she murdered Shad, but was she mentally there when she did it? Or was she not mentally capable, not in the right state of mind, so not really responsible for the murder of Shad Thyrion? Once again, it didn't take long, and after less than an hour, Taylor was ruled competent and mentally responsible for her actions. Yes. Taylor will be sentenced at the end of 2023. She will be looking at the possibility of life without parole. She should get the death penalty, if you ask me. They should do all that shit. Lethal injection, chair, should chop her damn head off. I don't know. But anyway, guys, if you guys like that story, I know this was more of a recent one and more popular. I try to focus on obscure stuff, but this is definitely a strange true crime case. So if you guys like that, make sure to leave a like. If you're new to my channel, become a member of the SBG family by liking, subscribing, and hitting that notification button, because I do try to release 1 to 2 times a week. Don't smoke the bitch, or I don't know if that's how you use it, but in all seriousness, guys, if you guys are on drugs, get help with that stuff. It is horrible. I know family members, friends that have went down that path, and it's sad and it's a nightmare for everybody. So if you guys need help, go out there and get that help you guys need. It's not good for you, man. Anyway, guys, be safe, be good.